communicative impasse between an enlightened and unenlightened one. As I'm continuing with the main explanation, child is your karma, we reach to a point where it is important to explain the state of the Prophet Al-Mustafa. Al-Mustafa's background and reason for coming to our village remain a mystery, as does his life after he departs. And despite his apparent divine flavor and his resulting insights into the nature of things, which he divulges at length over the course of an afternoon, Al-Mustafa comes off as a pained, melancholic figure. This brings me to an important crossroad where I must explain the communicative impasse between the enlightened and unenlightened one. This communicative impasse between enlightened and unenlightened is natural. It is indeed an unavoidable mismatch of consciousness and ego. Consciousness on the part of the enlightened one and ego on the part of unenlightened one. Because everyday language is built for material realities, words fail to capture truth, while unenlightened discussions breed argument. True understanding requires a shared elevated awareness. I repeat, while unenlightened discussions breed arguments, true understanding requires a shared elevated awareness. There is always a breakdown of dialogue between the two. When an enlightened being and an unenlightened person interact, or the communion surrounds enlightened and unenlightened states of awareness, a distinct dynamic occurs. The unenlightened person talks relentlessly, projecting their conditionings, while the enlightened one simply remains silent and listens. This makes the other uncomfortable and often finds almost impossible to understand the awakened one or communicate. At times this is expressed in their communication. The ego trap is the first and the foremost cause for this impasse. When unenlightened people seek guidance from an enlightened one, they often forget their initial questions and end up just sharing their personal information and mental baggage. Understanding concepts on a higher plane of consciousness requires the listener to reach that same level. Words have limited expense for a clear understanding. Words have limited are limited in nature. They do not communicate what you really want to communicate. Silence is the only communion. And silence is the language which unenlightened one cannot understand. And words have limited expense for clear understanding, and the more abstract the topic, the more likely the listener is to misinterpret the speaker's true intent based on their prejudice and level of understanding. The true connection is communion, not connection. All physical and intellectual communication between the two is highly difficult. The solution to this impasse is not communication but communion, a silent phenomenon. For this, spiritual merging is essential. True understanding happens when the ego is set aside and the listener is ready to trust. This can be compared to the merging of two souls, similar to the spiritual equivalent of a deep orgasmic state where souls lose their boundaries. Equivalent to a deep orgasmic state where souls lose their boundaries. Last is a heart-to-heart phenomenon. This direct and thorough communion is silent. Masters like Buddha and Mahavir physically could not have thorough conversation with their tens of thousands of disciples, but they guided them into profound inner silence through their silent transmission. The gap between two states is just an illusion. Remember, enlightenment is everybody's inherent nature. The difference between enlightened and the unenlightened is not a difference in their core being, but rather a difference in timing and awareness. The enlightened person knows their nature, while the unenlightened one does not. This remains an important reason for the communicative impasse. This requires a vision of cosmic harmony and universal oneness. However, do not forget the incongruity between this optimistic vision and actual state of the society. Like Christ or the Buddha, he personally suffers on account of the discord and unhappiness of humankind. And similar to those figures, he promises to return as Jesus did, Buddha did, a promise to return. Unfortunately, the necessity of his return indicates something important: his failure to make his teachings understood for the first time. Jesus, it is said, failed in establishing peace. Then he appeared with the sword in the form of holy prophet. Such is the communicative impasse between the Prophet Al-Mustafa and the unenlightened town people. And this seems to contribute to Al-Mustafa's pain. His joy upon leaving Orphalese indicates relief from a real suffering that he felt while in orphanage. It also indicates his vulnerability and limitations. He is far from immune to suffering, and he ultimately struggles to impart his wisdom that he has gathered. These limitations are what make him a prophet, not a god. Parents are merely a physical gateway for life. This means that children belong to the existence itself and are not parental property as it is generally understood. Osho breaks down this profound master-disciple perspective in The Prophet through several key insights. The first is the illusion of the township, of the ownership. The first is the impasse, illusion of ownership. Parents act as physical channel or vehicle, a passage alone. The life force itself animates, but the children originating from the cosmic existence. Believing you own a child is a delusion born from the ego. Parents are caretakers, not masters of the child. Forcing children to emulate their parents forces them to live in the past. Osho warns that a child forced to copy their parents is effectively prevented from truly living his life as guided by his consciousness. Children belong to the future, a time, the world that parents will never inhabit. They must adapt to their own generation's unique challenges. Love is important, not the conditioning. Give them your love, not the mind or thought. Parents should shower children with unconditional love, yet never impose their personal beliefs, religions, or ideologies. But this is what everybody does. The moment a child is born, he is inducted into the religion of the parents. Children arrive with their own independent minds. Authentic growth requires giving children the space to explore, take risk, and encounter failures. Shielding or controlling them blunts their potential. Shielding or controlling them blunts their potential. Khalil used the metaphor of bow and arrow. Osho deeply appreciated Gibran's image of parents as bow and children as the living arrows, shaft. The universe, the God, acts as the archer. It is the existence or the universe that bends the parents to that the children can fly far into the infinite future. It is the existence that bends the parents to that the children can fly far into the infinite future. The role of the parent is similar to remaining strong, stable, and supportive as the child launches into his own destiny. Every child comes with his own destiny. You are here to support the child to attain to that fruition. Their souls come from the future with their own destinies and karmic accounts. True responsibility means allowing the children the freedom to be individuals rather than forcing them into traditional molds that every parent does. Remember, unconditioned meditative love is the only true safety, not for raising a child. By becoming more aware, silent, and meditative, parents stop unconsciously passing down flaws and generational karmas, impressions. If a parent changes their own being, the child automatically changes in response. Therefore, your child is your karma. As a result, your child is born through you for a purpose. Your children are your karma. Have you ever held your child close to your heart, looked into his eyes, and felt something more profound than love? Have you? A feeling so familiar, as if you have known them before this life. As if you have known them before life. Have you ever wondered why this child? Why this particular person came into my life? Why this particular person came into my life? Was it just a chance? Or is there a deeper spiritual reason behind it? Have you ever wondered why this child? Why not other? Why this particular person came into my life? Was it just a chance? Or is there a deeper spiritual reason behind it? Accordingly, there is no accident in the person we meet. Accordingly, there is no accident in the person we meet, especially not in the ones who come through us as our children. Your child is your karma. What does it really mean when we say a child is our karma? Dive deep into the heart of this teaching. It is divine law of karma that governs relationship. It is the divine law of karma that governs relationships. How your child reflects your journey through different births, and why parenthood is one of the most potent spiritual responsibility given to a human being. This applies between spouses as well to a great extent. Whether your child brings joy or challenges, ease or pain, there is always a deeper purpose behind it. You are not just raising a child, you are walking with an individual you have known before. An individual self that has chosen you, not that you have chosen the child. It is the children who choose the parents, and whom you may have chosen long ago. Your journey on earth is about awareness, healing, and love. Because once you understand the deeper meaning of your child's presence in your life, everything begins to shift from confusion to clarity, from burden to blessing. The, your journey on earth is about awareness, healing, and love. Because once you understand the deeper meaning of your child's presence in your life, everything begins to shift from confusion to clarity, from burden to blessing. Let us begin. Let us begin. Your children are born through you for a purpose. Out of billions of individual selves in the universe, why does this particular one has come into your life, your arms, and in your life? Have you ever wondered? The truth is, there is no accidents in the divine plan. The person who comes to you as your child is not random. Similar is the situation that happens between two spouses. The truth is, there is no accident in the divine plan. The person who comes to you as your child is not random. If it is someone you have been connected with before, perhaps in this life or even in many past lives. It may have been your parent, your friend, your partner, or even someone who once hurt you or whom you hurt. In this life, they come back in a different form, with a different role, but the connection remains deeply karmic. This is why sometimes, even from birth, there is an instant recognition, a bond that feels older than time. Sometimes you do feel. Accordingly, families are formed not just by blood, but by karma. And in the family circle, karma plays out in its most intense and personal way. This means the person in your family, specifically your children, are here to help you resolve unfinished lessons. Children will test your patience on behalf of the universe. Children will not stop challenging you until you learn what you must from them. Children will not stop challenging you until you learn what you must from them. The situations and behaviors that trigger you through them are messengers from your unconscious parts. They invite you to become aware. We encounter those patterns repeatedly because life wants us to become aware of our unhealed inner pain so that we can bring it to the light of consciousness. Children are not there only to comfort you. They are here to help you dissolve everything in you that is narrow, rigid, and limited. Some children are born to return your love. Others are here to test your patience. Some come to repay kindness. Some arrive to challenge you, allowing you to grow no matter what their role is. No matter what their role is, their presence certainly remains meaningful. They have not come by chance, but by divine design. Children have not come by chance into your life. They have come by divine design. So does your spouse has not come into your life by a mere chance, but by a divine design, a divine plan. When you begin to see your child not just as your son or daughter, but as a fellow messenger from God on a journey along with you your entire approach to parenting transforms. It becomes less about control and more about a spiritual partnership. Some children are born to return your love. Others are here to test your patience. Some come to repay kindness. Some arrive to challenge you, allowing you to grow. No matter what their role is, their presence is certainly meaningful in your life. They have not come by chance, but by a specific divine design. Let this be your guide. When you begin to see your child not as your son or daughter, but as a fellow messenger from God on a journey with you, your entire approach to parenting transforms. It becomes less about the control, but more about a spiritual partnership. Enough for now. Take care.